Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Annalisa and this is going to be my favorite books of 2025 and also my stats wrap up for 2025. There are two nonfictions on this list, so I'm kind of sandwich them at the beginning and end. We're going to start with The Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer, which is about reciprocity and community and how people can build communities that are reciprocal and that are about giving even if you don't get back immediately, even while we are living under capitalism. It was really comforting. It's a really short book. I listened to it on audiobook and it was just really soothing and comforting and brought me a lot of joy near the beginning of the year when I wasn't feeling very good. So I really appreciated that. I really love this author's writing. I've read several of her books and all of them have been really great. After I read this one, I read her book about moss, which is not like as comforting and soft and wonderful, but it is very good. Like, if you have enjoyed Serviceberry and Braiding Sweetgrass, I would recommend also reading the Moss book. But yeah, I just really appreciate how much of a relief this book was and how it made things that are good and different seem possible when I was feeling discouraged. By the way, this is going to be top 5 because I only read 110 books this year, and I usually do like top 10 books, but I also usually read 200 books. So I figured dialing it back and focusing on top 5 was a better way to go when I've read less books in the first place. Then we have Brooms, which was a fairly recent read. I think I read it in November. I wanted a witchy story, and this hit the mark so well. It is about Black and Indigenous witches in the 1920s. I don't think it's very much based on real spiritualities, but it is based on some lived realities such as residential schools and how the government probably would react if Black and Indigenous people had magic that was different than white people magic, which is to say they would outlaw it. It's a graphic novel. There's kind of a whole group of main characters. It's not told from any one or two perspectives, but the characters we start out with are twins, and one of them is deaf. They're both, I think, Afro-Indigenous, and they want to learn to be broom riders and compete in broom racing, partially so they can raise money to get allowance from the government to learn their indigenous magic, not in secret. And so they get hooked up via their aunt, I think, with some Black and other people of color illegal broom riders, broom racers, and start to learn, and we get to see the broom races, and it's like also a haven for queer people. I love the illustrations. A lot of it takes place at night, so a lot of them are like cast in blue and purples and stuff, and there's a little bit of sign language in there. It was just all around really great and enjoyable. Then A Taste of Golden Iron. This was probably my favorite romantasy. It's about two men one of whom is a prince and one of whom is a guard to the prince falling in love, which is like my favorite trope, and I think it was done really well, and there's other queerness all around, and there's just lots of the like bodyguard loyal, and also the reciprocal the bodyguard is loyal to the royalty, but the royalty is also loyal back to the bodyguard, and I love that. And it's about our prince and guard also trying to solve a mystery of who's basically causing trouble in their kingdom at the time. At one point they are very silly and do some things that get them in trouble, and it's not really surprising that they got in trouble, because like, I don't know what you expected taking that course of action, but overall, I just really, really had a good time. Would reread, definitely. Second to last but not least is The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. I had such a good time. It's been a while since I've read like a straight up fantasy that was not like a romantasy that I enjoyed so much, like an epic fantasy. Brooms, for example, is more everyday type situations. It's not like kingdoms rising and falling and giant monsters and stuff. But like this epic fantasy thing, I have a hard time finding ones that I like, even though I like all the elements, because they're usually written by men, honestly. But also, a lot of people who write that feel like it has to be really dark and a lot of people have to die. But not that many people die in this book. And it was actually pretty lighthearted, despite having a lot of bad stuff going on and like really dangerous. Not that many people actually died. So I really liked it because of that. That's exactly what I want from my epic fantasy. So, plus it is based on mythology that I don't know that much about, and also has religious main characters who are like nominally religious, but who still care about their religion and it still means something to them, which is really interesting. Then, my very favorite book of the year. I had to think about this quite a lot, and I'm revaluing it more now because I'm rereading it right now to do a digest of it for one of my local groups, is Let This Radicalize You by Kelly Hayes and Mariam Kaba. It's so good. It's encouraging, and it gives me inner peace, and it makes me feel like good things are possible, much like Serviceberry, but it goes much farther and like breaks down a lot of not hoity-toity theory, but theory of like how we actually interact with each other, and gives lots of examples of how people have gotten things done in the past, in the pretty recent past, like up to 2022 or so. A lot of stuff that happened in Chicago specifically, because I think both these authors either live in Chicago or have done a lot of their work in Chicago. So a lot of their friends who they interview are in Chicago. Yeah, all the real world examples tied together by what theoretical stuff they're doing at that time. Like one chapter is about how care work is integral to protests and resistance work. Kelly Hayes and Mariam Kaba showed that with various examples from people that they knew. So it was really interesting, and I really love seeing examples of successful resistance work, or even like semi-successful, like they may not achieve all their goals, but they accomplished something. That's really encouraging to me. Really like this book. I really recommend it to anybody who is progressive or leftist or is thinking about moving in that direction. And if you've already read it, I recommend you read Mutual Aid as well, because it's like has a lot of similar ideas, but is more of a handbook on how to do things. How to like the nitty gritty stuff. If you'd read one or the other, or if you're interested in any of these books, come tell me in the comments. As for my statistics, I read 110 books, like I said. I'm going to start off with the statistic I tracked that I did badly. I only read 42 books by Black, Indigenous, or people of color authors, which is less than 40%, which is way down from last year. Last 2 or 3 years, it's been at 50 to 55%. And I kind of stopped watching it about halfway through the year this year, and I think that's where the problem was. I should have checked in about 3/4 of the year and seen where things were going. I also read some pretty long series by white authors, or like collections of books that were all white, and didn't really counterbalance that, but I'm going to work a little harder on that this year. Hopefully we can get that percentage up. I read 5 books with fat representation. I read 21 with disabled representation, which is better than last year, I think, percentage-wise. And most of those were own voices. And 41 books with queer characters, main characters. So that's better than last year, too. So I just have to rearrange my balances to make sure that I don't go reading just a bunch of white authors. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!